here we go. Blessed are you, our God, ruler of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this moment. The words above are from a Jewish blessing called the Shehachianu. It is chanted on holidays and special celebrations, honoring the ability to experience something new in our lives. I never gave this prayer much thought, but then I once heard a rabbi give a sermon about saying Shehachianu when running the first load of dishes in his brand new dishwasher. There will only be one first time, and no matter how ordinary the event or activity seems, we should honor that, he said. For me, living a life that has at times been filled with thoughts of death and the welcome release it would bring, the Shehachianu oddly is something I began to find a lot of significance and much comfort in. In the first year of my child's life, the Shehachianu was a reminder to me to cherish and celebrate many of my son's firsts. The first time he rolled over, crawled, accidentally peed on me, I said this prayer. As my health took a turn for the worse, life became an almost ending that was saved by a beginning. Shock therapy. Shock therapy would save my life, but as my first treatment began, the thought of saying the Shehachianu never entered my mind. Being granted life was about as welcome a gift as being given socks for your birthday. But as the shock therapy started working and life began feeling like a pretty good thing, I was once again able to find meaning in the Shehachianu. I've embodied this prayer in the most literal sense. I've been able to sustain life and in turn, so many small and large firsts. In fact, it occurs to me, this piece here is the first time I have ever made severe depression wall art. Shehachianu. Many of you, I'm sure, had wonderful Mother's Days, celebrating someone you love, or being celebrated by people you love, or if none the case, you just got to eat and chill. It's all good. So this is Depression, a very special Mother's Day episode. I've often said the saving grace during my hellish depression was that my son's life was not impacted at all. While there were some days he knew I wasn't feeling well, and a whole trip to Florida to visit my grandparents that my husband so wonderfully took him on while I stayed at home, for my son, it was nothing he ever knew he had to worry about. And for the majority of my prolonged illness, I was able to care for him like I always do, with equal amounts of love and TV watching. While sick, I was fortunate enough to drop my son off at school and pick him up on an almost daily basis. Sure, for a few months I'd drop him off, go to an outpatient mood disorder program, have some suicidal thoughts, and then pick him up. But he didn't know that. Honestly, I could have showed up in a leg cast and one of those dog cones, and as long as I had a treat for him in the car, he would have been completely unfazed. Lots of things were unimaginable when I was sick. I stopped working, I stopped reading, I stopped talking on the phone, I stopped watching So You Think You Could Dance, but I was able to take care of my son, this most important boy in my life. The fact that I still could be such an active, well, involved, I'm not really an active anything, part of my son's life was not due to some pick yourselves up by the bootstraps mentality. It wasn't that I was strong and mothers who couldn't take care of their kids during depression are weak. It was that I was lucky, and those other moms are not. I've had my moments when I needed others to take over, and if these moments became a way of life, I would have been a guilt-filled suicidal mess. I often say that taking care of my son was my saving grace, because it literally was. If I couldn't have done that, I don't know that I would have made it. So thank you to everybody who mothered my son and me when we needed it. My husband, parents, family, friends, and for his many, many hours of service, SpongeBob SquarePants. This last piece that I wrote, my writing style changed when writing this piece, in that it was a piece I wrote during this program, and I think I had been so affected by everything that was happening in the program that I started just creatively thinking in a different way and took on a little bit of a different style. And to me, this also was a lot about the topic of beginnings, this piece. And then this is it. But all the wine's gone, so you're going to just have to stand right here. In the 5th or 6th grade, I remember being in science class. One of the other kids said something, and a hilarious response popped in my head. I wanted to say it. I should say it, I thought. It will be greeted with silence, I thought. And as I thought and thought, a boy in the class said his own version of my joke, and people roared laughing. I lost the laugh. This boy with less finesse and worse timing got my laugh. This moment changed me. It wasn't an aha moment, because aha Oprah didn't exist yet. No, I clearly remember thinking, this is my Judy Blume moment. I was having my turning point in Judy Blume's never-published book, Dina Gets the Last Laugh. After this JB moment, I did begin using my humor, and it became my defining characteristic. It was how I made friends and gained confidence. Judy, of course, knows that life is never simple enough to just have one turning point, though. Her characters suffered and learned and celebrated, and then they rinsed and repeated. My Judy Blume-esque Dina is a slow learner. Years later, she would take an improv class and think of something and whisper it to one of her teammates, and he would go out and do it in class, and he would get the laugh. I finally learned this lesson. I will get my laugh now. But Judy isn't a one lesson per character type lady. So I continued to learn and learn and learn some more. Who knew 25 years later, Judy would write a sequel, Happy Shockiversary, Dina. In this mildly anticipated follow-up, we learned Dina has continued the thread of comedy in her life and has also added a child and, for some good measure, shock therapy and some pretty little pills. The book opens on February 15, 2013, a year after Dina started her shock treatments, as she reflects on what this last year has meant. Critics praise the book for handling tough subjects, but also think, Dina, the main character, is a little self-absorbed, and ask, geez, Judy, is Dina ever going to grow up for real? But Judy knows neither life nor her characters are ever that clear-cut. And as it always seems, Judy is right.